Hey guys, what's up? MasquedBlonde here, and today we're playing more Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. When will I go back to Bloodlines? I'm debating, because I think Bloodlines 2 comes out fairly soon, and I don't want to, Bloodlines, if to download Bloodlines takes a little while for me, because my internet connection kind of sucks. And then I've got to install the patch for it. And then I don't know if you're supposed to start a new game if you switch like computers or whatnot, because the patches themselves can be a little tricky with save files. So I may just postpone, just not continue that series for a while until, because I've already played the game like several times. Because I'm really more concerned about Bloodlines 2 coming out. I've been looking forward to that forever. Me and my sister used to play it all the time. We've been waiting what has it been? 10 years? Over 10 years for, ever since Bloodlines 1. We've been waiting forever for that game to come out. So we are definitely playing it when it comes out. We both have the Ultimate Edition. It'll probably take forever to download. When that comes out, I'm dropping everything. I'm not playing a single freaking game until that, I'm not playing a single freaking game while that is out. I will be playing that. Probably almost exclusively. Unless Visage has an update, and then I'll be playing that as well. But a lot of the gameplays will be halted for that. So right now, I'm going to be playing this until Bloodlines 2. And then, of course, I've got a few other indie games I'm going through. Because this one is text-based, narrative-driven story, whereas others are more action-based, and people like to watch those more. I like playing these kind of games as well. I love the art style of it. It's the classic World of Darkness feel. The artwork looks very much like what you'd see in the role-playing books. So I'm having fun. I think I'm making all good choices. So we'll see. For those of you that aren't into this type of gameplay, I am having I've got to edit my Lakeview Valley, my second gameplay video for that. I've got to edit it, and then there was one game I was going to upload, but I didn't think it was worth watching, so I scrapped it. I may do an informal Visage theory video since the new chapter will be releasing soon. Just a few tidbits. I hated my last video I did for it. It took forever to do. I wasn't happy with it. So I might just do a little informal one. Just some thoughts before the new one. Because I like to categorize. I like to document my thoughts, and then see if I was right or not. I did a theory video for Resident Evil 7, I think, and I wound up being way off, and I was a little bit disappointed, even though Resident Evil 7 was a really good game. But anyway, I've talked long enough. Let's get to it. Okay, so if you'll remember, I was going to be executed. It's a lot like Bloodlines so far. I was going to be executed because I was sired illegally. But I made a deal with a, I don't know, some sort of high-ranking vampire. I can't remember what her title, if she had one. So the prince, who is this Prince Penard, I guess that's how you pronounce her name, has spared me. So we'll see where that goes from there. Right now they're trying to find my sire, and I've agreed to help. Because I want to meet my sire too, and find out why I was chosen. My character's a really good artist, has a great eye, but there's a lot of really great artists in New York, so what's so special about me, So let's continue the game. Okay, so I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Sophie, of course, is the vampiress that I made the agreement with. And basically the agreement is I do what she says, no questions asked. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. So if you'll remember, right of destruction means She can kill me if I act up. So, there's no fooling around when it comes to the masquerade. You better have your ducks in order. They take it very, very seriously. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of the most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince, thank you. And that's my new surrogate sire, I guess you could say. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? I would just say Alex. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Alex. Now this evening proved to be more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Quay dear, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. I'm just going to call him Q because I don't think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much room for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Alex, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierge. Did I say that right? Who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guest glasses. The conveniently handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. Oh my goodness, I need to expand my vocabulary. I don't know these words. He pours it into 2 tall glasses. It's blood again. That much is clear. You are in 2 minds about drinking it, but the memory of last night's hunger makes you wince. You take a tentative sip. Can we take a moment to acknowledge this beautiful artwork that's right here? Gorgeous. You expected the same blandness you tasted a few hours ago, but this one you can actually savor. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think NYC caterers have a very bourgeois ideas about what good blood should taste like. Apologies, you must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. How much do I have to drink? Where do you get the blood? Does the taste of the blood matter? These are all really good questions, actually. I think the taste of the blood just comes from the pedigree of the person that you're drinking from. We know where they get the blood. It's either from a blood bank, which I would prefer, or they are snatching people and draining them. How much do I have to drink? I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. But that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. A vessel. I'm assuming that is where they're getting the blood from. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast that is part of our curse. Yeah, so if you go without drinking for a while, like you basically starve yourself, you go into this feral state, you're just driven by the need to feed. So you no longer care about rules, you no longer care about how it appears, you have no other, it's just all primal. You just have this primal instinct and you just go with that. So obviously you can't preserve the masquerade and you are hunted down. You're basically put out of your misery when that happens. So never let it happen. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we'll explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. You mentioned a beast. About our sire-child relationship, what do you mean by hunting? I think this will be the more interesting. Yeah, they're going to explain it more in detail. Oh, it's quite real, though not in a strictly physical sense. It lives in all of us, our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us connect it to the biblical Cain, the rage of the first murderer, cursed by God, seething in all his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment, not that it makes my struggle any easier. I have to be wary like every other kindred in the city and beyond. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the masquerade. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. Jalopy. The smile she puts on makes you remember last night's encounter in the showroom. A similar eagerness to spend time with this person overtakes you momentarily, and you follow her outside. Your sixth sense tells you she is an artistic soul too, and you unwittingly start projecting good qualities onto her. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I remember I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling in a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts. So to the vast majority of kind, which are humans, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Yeah, so just to refresh, kindred are vampires, kind is the cattle, which is humans. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? I guess she's talking about Angel. That should look like crap. I didn't watch it. You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. Oh, I guess she was a big Angel fan. I think Angel came out, the Buffy series came out in the 90s. I'm actually thinking of doing a vlog about it. I'm going to start watching it with a group of friends. None of them have seen it before, so we're going to start watching it. I'm not a big fan. Or I wasn't a big fan when it first came out. I didn't care for it. And then I tried rewatching it later. Still didn't care for it. I like the movie a lot better. I love that campy, fun approach. This series, I didn't care for. But that's for another. We're going to rewatch it. And maybe I'll change my mind. But I'll basically document like how I feel. And what our interpretations were. So apparently she was a fan of Angel. I don't know. I never saw anything about it that made me want to watch. I thought his character on the Buffy series was boring, but whatever. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe, allow us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of the 21st century, humanity, and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. Sorry, I tend to read faster than I speak, so I'm having to really slow down, and it keeps me from tripping. What's the risk? Is your driver a vampire too? Is there anything the movies get right? Okay, so I already know this answer. He's probably a ghoul. Is there anything the movies got right? Yeah, I want to see this one. There has to be some stuff that the books and movies got right, or is it all just vampire propaganda? There is a kernel of truth in every myth. Those concerning kindred are no exception. There are mortals who sift through and manage to separate the facts, though it doesn't happen thanks to Hollywood. For one, sunlight burns us. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it, more like being dead than dormant, isn't it? But we have no choice. We are night dwellers. but day sleepers. Some more folk-related threats are just legends or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us unless the welder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes to the heart, though, that's something to avoid. Do not destroy, but they paralyze, which under the right circumstances can often be the same thing. There's a reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory. Make sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with the daylight. So it's vampires versus humans. It's good to keep human friends. No, they don't have human friends. Do vampires watch each other's backs? That kind of depends. Let's do that. You mentioned enemies. I guess that makes it necessary to watch each other's backs. Do you count on other vampires for that? She surprises you by letting out a soft chuckle before answering. No. Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage counting on someone. Support given in exchange for favors, yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. Yeah, and that was kind of what happened with Requiem. So both Masquerade and Requiem had similar rules, except the Masquerade seemed to focus more on your clan, whereas Requiem focused more on Coteries, if I remember correctly. It's fun playing this game because I'm trying to I always get the two rule books confused, and it's been a while since I've played, so it's fun to try to see what I remember. When you're in an Elysium, like we were tonight, the sect can appear to be monolith. The reality is more complex. Outside of official gatherings, shady deals, and a quid pro quo mentality reign supreme. Right, so in Elysium, you can't hunt in Elysium, you can't fight, you can't, you have to be on your best behavior because it's a neutral space where everyone can gather. And I think at least in the Requiem series, I think in the Chicago playbook, it talked about how not just vampires but other supernatural groups could interact in an Elysium, and again, it was a neutral zone. It was a way for them to sort of it's kind of I guess it's like the UN, where you could sort of engaged with each other without there being any open hostility, where you didn't have to worry about being ambushed or anything like that. So basically, she seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts. The one you keep returning to is what your place in the new reality would be. The car stops. You are in the city, in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? Yes! My own apartment, neat. Is it another parking lot room? What if I want to sleep in my home? Oh, no, you can't do that. I guess that. I get my own apartment. That's neat. Consider it the first of many gifts that I'm able to grant in exchange for loyalty. Come upstairs. Yeah, so basically in the, with Bloodlines, if you've never played it, as you would start aligning with different and do favors for different factions, you would start getting new homes, new havens to rest, and they would get nicer, usually, unless you were Nosferatu. Usually, the higher up you got and the more you played, they could get really, really nice. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Mrs. Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you expect from a modern apartment. and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the window. Yeah, it looks really nice. I like it. I bet it's an expensive space too. In New York? Oh, definitely. Look at that. Ooh, gorgeous. Got a big TV, nice sound system, bookcase. Is that a folding wall? Right there. And I don't know. I guess that leads to... I don't know what that is. Maybe the bedroom? Those couches look very comfortable. Ooh, I bet that has a fantastic view at night. Ooh. The back room has a comfortable looking bed and thick steel door with several sturdy looking locks, but no windows. Yes, that is super ideal. Well, how do you like it? This is great, thank you. Yes. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Yes, swank. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for the rest. You can lock the doors just in case. Yes, you absolutely need security. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly becomes a few shades dimmer. Yeah. Basically, you're super vulnerable. So, like, if I remember correctly, when you sleep, it's basically like you're dead. Like, your body is trying to, like, regenerate itself. So, like, I think it depends. I think vampires aren't supposed to dream, but I have read in several of the lore books about a vampire having dreams. Like in Requiem, the vampire prince of New Orleans did have dreams, like regular dreams. So it can happen. It's just like the sex thing. So, like, vampires aren't really supposed to want to have sex. Like, it takes energy to get their bodies to do, you know, whatever it needs to do in order to engage in the physical act. But in Bloodlines, you know, Teresa Borman regularly had sex. Like, she was basically a nympho. Like, for real. And it was considered really, really disgusting to her peers. But she happily and willingly engaged in it. So it's just something that kind of just depends. But yeah, when there's no, like, I don't think you can be woken up unless you're, like, the sun hits you and you're dying. Like, your body's in flames. Like, it takes a lot to wake a vampire up. So they're very, very vulnerable. So it's very important to be in a super secure space when you sleep, because for like 12 hours, anything can happen. And I think it's also harder for them to move around during the day anyway. Like, your energy is basically like zapped, but I'm sure it'll explain more. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Yeah, I think regular food can actually make a vampire ill. Unless you're a thin blood, then you can actually eat food. And I think you play as a thin blood in the new Bloodline series. I'm trying not to read too much into it because I'm wanting it to be a surprise. But I think you play as a thin blood, which means you'll get to go out in the daytime and eat regular food, but your powers aren't supposed to be as potent. If I remember Bloodlines and the Masquerade correctly. It feels strange that Q could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. Yeah, there's definitely something going on with Q. I'm not sure. I like him, though. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Oh, Columbo's fun. Kojak reruns. I never saw that. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. I don't know what year this is supposed to be, but I don't think it really matters. The president got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seem a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldviews shattering revelations. How many more before you fully understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your subconscious fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. Oh, I guess that's a map. Wow. Look at that. It's like veins. I'd love to make that my desktop. Hunger is at the heart of a vampire's existence. To ignore it is to tempt the beast to take over in its desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by a progressively thicker bloody frame around the screen, like the one you see now. Okay. As your hunger grows, so does this indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices, as you will be able to see after pressing continue. Block off option. Oh, okay. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you can take the risk to hunt and slake your hunger. Feeding opportunity. You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. Oh, that is so interesting. Oh, I love that. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. That's right, because your body is cold. You're basically a walking corpse. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer. But that was before. The way you woke up now, you are fully conscious. No grogginess, nothing weighing you down, just the nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger, not as severe as the last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows you the time, 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is NYC's artificial nighttime luminance. Oh, I bet that view is incredible. So that's what your waking hours are going to look like now. You miss the sunlight already. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out by yourself. But then you come back to the memory of Q's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for about half an hour and then switch to streaming services. Almost as if the universe had a sense of irony, you catch True Blood in the flood of recommendations. I like True Blood. I've actually read the Sookie Stackhouse novels. I enjoy them. Usually that's not my type of thing. I'm usually more like into Lost Boys or 30 Days of Night or Cronus. Did I pronounce that right? Cronus. If you've never seen Cronus, check it out. It's good. Usually I like those kind of or let the right one in type vampire, but I do enjoy the Sookie Stackhouse series. So True Blood is fun. Watch it. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie. Good evening, Alex. Slept well? Like a baby, like a dead man. It's not exactly sleep, right? That is correct. I suppose it isn't. Some say it's more like being dead, but we wouldn't know, would we? It's no use reflecting on it anyway, except that this is who you are now. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself, your blood, its desires, and its power. We will begin tonight. You are hungry, yes, I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There is only one remedy, the blood. The drinks we had yesterday at the Elysium are not the usual way you slake your thirst. So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage. So this is when the, is it called disciplines? I forget what they're called, but that's when that comes. Like each vampire clan has their own unique abilities, and you can use that to manipulate the world around you so you can feed. It's all about feeding. Everything you do has to do with feeding and staying alive. So, predator and prey, huh? Grim. Yep. Alright. I'm ready to learn. Let's get started. Such eagerness, or is it just your hunger making you impatient? You will find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there is a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to this sensation. But if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feet. Yeah, so I think she's referring to, I think they're called blood dolls. So if you feed off the same kind too much, it's either if you feed off them or if they feed off you too much, they like develop like a bonding with you and they can become obsessive. So you have to like watch out for it. After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct? She gives you a sly, knowing smile. That is why the masquerade is so important, and even more crucial when you feed. How do you avoid being seen? How do you cover your tracks? How do you select a victim? I think these two are probably the most important questions. Let's go with this one. Biting people leaves marks, right? And the victims remember your face. You shouldn't concern yourself with leaving marks. These are easy to conceal. You just need to bite carefully and then lick the punctures closed. That's all there is to it. As for being remembered, like I mentioned, the kiss is an ecstatic experience, so kind can barely recall the details. And even when they do, the city is enormous. You would spend days on the streets and not see the same face twice. Use that to your advantage. Yeah, vampires like to live in very populated areas like cities because if you live in a small town, you're going to feed off the same people too much and then people are going to know something's up. So it's much easier to conceal themselves by living in a large city. So you really only have a small population of vampires per region, depending on, how big the region is. Where New York City, obviously you'd have way more vampires, like the heaviest concentration of vampires, as opposed to, say, I don't know, like maybe, say Memphis. Memphis would have a much, much smaller concentration than, say, New York City, or Seattle, or which I think the new Bloodlines 2 is taking place in Seattle, so that'll be really fun. All right, feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out, you risk the ire of other kindred on whose domains you trespass. Lucky for you, NYC is more forgiving in this regard. Yeah, so you don't want to poach because that can cause all kinds of problems. New York is somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To wit, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory is waiting for us. The busy street fills the air with traffic noises, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? Yes, because you are not human anymore. They are cattle to you, basically, at this point. So, get used to this. It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thinned New York traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have the time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You are among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline. You feel a pang of emotion as you realize this is where you took part in the exhibition just 2 nights prior. Same address, and you suspect same hall. To what ends has it been repurposed tonight? Come, Alex, park the car, Gregory, will you? The driver just nods and Sophie gets out. You join her and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back, then take in a few dozen chairs in the front of it. The concert seems concluded. The patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue. Sorry, I have a bit of a lisp, so if I'm slurring my S's, I apologize. Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred. But consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now, let's see here. Ah, there he is. She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who almost tripped over himself to reach her, clearly agrees. Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How is your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl, come over, please. There is somebody I would like for you to meet. The young woman who walks across the hall can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd. Julie, this is Alex. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'd like each other. The girl gives you a shy smile and nods toward the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what it is exactly Sophie expects you to do. You reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, that you know. Okay, so she's fully aware. So they've got some sort of arrangement going on. Cool. She puts her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks to you embarrassed, but also hopeful. Don't know what you're talking about. What, you're into that sort of thing? I don't know. Is this a test? Because you're not ever supposed to admit it. I don't know. I feel if Sophie introduced you to her, then that's what you're here for. But we'll try it just to be cautious. Hey, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, you don't? She's clearly befuddled and unsure how to continue. She backs out of the topic, instead asking you about your favorite bands. You have a feeling she's waiting for you to do some. As you talk, she takes off her jacket, although the building isn't warm, unbuttons her sleeve and rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit, one feline winking at you. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be biting her. It's subtle, but at least she thinks it is, but the way she caresses her forearm is a dead giveaway. She's testing you. Can it be that she wants to be bitten? I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be, so we'll try it. You take her forearm in your hands, a quick look around confirms nobody's watching and no security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. It's surreal. She's just giving you her blood of her own violation. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. Your thoughts disappear amid the bliss. There's just the taste, sweet, fresh, sanguine. You drink. And drink. And drink. No, stop. You tear away from the girl harder than you wanted. Still, the bite leaves just tiny punctures. Almost as if by instinct, you lick them clean, and the two holes become concealed just like that. Yeah, because you're using your saliva. Julie is now leaning on the wall, pale, wobbly on her feet, but happy. She lets out a dreamy sigh, opens her eyes. A few tears fall into her shirt. Tears of joy. Well, I'm glad we made her night. Thank you. Please, can you walk me downstairs, please? My dad, he doesn't know. Thinks it's a condition. Miss Langley told him so. She leans on you and requests you walk her over to a bench. She takes a seat and smiles at you. The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly, looking at her now. Only some residual awe hangs in the air. Yes, she's pretty, maybe even beautiful, sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her. Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with Alex. Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you. I can tell from your look that you took the opportunity. Good for you. That girl's exquisite, don't you think? You wouldn't tell by her demeanor, but she's had so much passion. She has so much passion. It brings out a unique bouquet in her blood. Her blood was delicious. She knows who we are. I feel like I took advantage of her. I guess we can... I think she knows who we are. That's not normal, right? It's not usual, which is true, but don't worry. She will do anything I tell her to and won't say anything to anyone that I haven't put in her pretty head first. Won't say anything to anyone that I haven't put in her pretty head first. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off this time, Gregory. Flushing Meadows, please. Alright. Driver takes the car over to the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. What did you do to the people back there? What's that about training wheels? Why Flushing Meadows? Let's do that. Flushing what for? Other than the fact that Unisphere is beautiful at this time of night, it's a great hunting ground on which to try out some of the talents of the blood. Okay, we all have our talents. Some of them come from the legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. Okay, so she wanted you to feed, because now you have all your, is it called vitae? Or whatever. You have all the blood in your system. So now you can perform to the best of your abilities. So, because you use up blood every time you use a power or a discipline or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember what they're called. Sorry. I'm sure somebody who is active in the role-playing community is screaming at me right now. But bear with me, folks. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. Also, I do apologize if I repeat myself and I'm slurring a bit when I read these. Like I said, I read really, really fast in my head. So having to try to pause to read this causes me to stutter a bit. So I do apologize. I would never make, like, I could never do ASMR or anything like that. I'm terrible at narrating. Which is a shame, because I always admire people that do the audiobooks. Like, I would love to be able to do that, but I would not make it through a take. I can sway people or make them fear me. I see more of the world and in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace and more. All these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt, which is what she was doing at the gallery. She was using her skill set to draw everyone's attention to herself. What are my powers? How do I use my powers? Do I need my powers to hunt? That's going to be a yes. We won't know your powers, though. If you don't know anything about your sire, then you don't know your powers. I think this one would probably be the most important. How exactly do I use these talents yet? Because I need to know how to be a vampire, basically. You will the blood to do your bidding. Many times you'll find you do these things intuitively, almost passively, but making an entire room focus their attention on you, that is tempting the beast. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It is all fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, but save those overt talents for the right place and time. Yeah, you don't want to disappear, like, in the middle of a bunch of people staring at you. Because if people know something's happening and they sense it's from you, that draws way too much attention to yourself and not in a good way, and you can break the masquerade. Let me see how I'm doing this time. Okay. It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight, the stars just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city. It looks gorgeous. I feel like having a snack myself. I'll be by the fountain. Go look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood, but only pick one victim, just one, then come back. Seeing how she seems not altogether right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis courts nearby, there's light coming from there, so somebody might be playing a late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play out in your mind, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. Yeah, so you're a predator and you're always on the hunt. I feel like we probably would find somebody at the tennis courts. If it's decrepit, we'd probably find some people like druggies and stuff like that. You don't want addict blood. So, tennis courts, you're probably going to find someone who's really athletic. So, I would either go with this one or this one. Let's take a chance at the tennis courts. Are as good a place as any, and make your way to the bright glow of the lamps illuminating the area. As you guessed, a pair of players, two men, fit but older, maybe pushing 60, are finishing up a match. They're only ones there. It's time to make a move. Lure a player away. Yeah, let's try that. You think back to what Sophie did at the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You wait patiently until the two men hit the showers, get out, and say their goodbyes. They go their separate ways, and one of them notices you standing there. You immediately grab his attention. Yeah, I wouldn't barge into the shower. That sounds clumsy and a really good way to draw unwanted attention. Good evening. Oh yes, very good. You can make it better. I've had better. Oh yes, very good. I'm having a blast. You? Won both sets. Not bad for a grandpa. He's clearly very happy with himself. Decide there won't be a better moment to strike. Moving closer, casually at first, then closing the difference in a single leap. You sink your fangs into his flesh. Well, that was abrupt. His blood flows fast and feels energizing. You've never expected invigorating taste like this from a man who's at least your father's age. You only take as much as you need right now, though a voice at the back of your mind urges you to keep drinking. Fit or not, you don't want this guy on your conscience if you take too much. You put him on the ground gently and make your way back to Sophie. As you're leaving the courts, a figure emerges from the shadows and stops you at your tracks. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. What do you think you're doing, barging in on my turf like this, Lick? Oh. Another one. Lick, what kind of slur is that? Didn't mean to trespass. I'm gone. I didn't mean to trespass. Sorry, I'm going. Too late for that, friend. You might want to leave here in one piece. You talk. Candidly, I know what you are, so you can shove that masquerade misdirection up your ass. Now, better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you. I'm here. Big talk coming from a chunk. I don't know if I should say. Should I say? Is that like some sort of betrayal? We'll try it. I mean, with the Camarilla, we're all with the Camarilla. And I don't want to start a fight. So, I guess. She's my patron. Doesn't ring a bell. Sounds fancy, though. He licks his lips, exposing his fangs and looking at you ferociously. A nervous tick or an attempt at intimidation. I wonder, what would Callahan do to you if I brought you in, huh? Break your shins, leave you out to be kissed by the sun? Oh, concrete shoes, maybe. He's old school like that. Celerity, run back to Sophie fast. Yeah, let's do that. He's up to no good. I don't want to fight, so let's try that. Take off, fast. Faster than you've ever run. The hoodlum has trouble keeping up, but howls behind you like an animal and gives chase anyway. Yeah, I was feeling like I shouldn't have said her name. As you reach the Unisphere again, you slow down, noticing two people near the sculpture, a man and a woman, tangled in a passionate embrace. Yeah, that'll be Sophie and her victim. No, not exactly. It's Sophie Fiend, but this whole scene is set up so it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. And I hope I didn't endanger her by saying that. I can just see in that. I probably should have told him to fuck off. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree. Well, Alex, how did it go? You're bound to answer when the same figure as before emerges from one of the alleys. He looks at the three of you and a predatory smile creeps into his lips. You thought you could run away from me, Lick? Think you'll be safe with your friends? Well, I have friends too. He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, the feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again, entrancing both you and the hooded thug. His shout comes out as a weak, confused squeak. Second, Gregory produces a wooden stake from a holster underneath his jacket and slams it into the thug's chest. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posturing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed. I see you made a friend, Alex. Curious choice of company, I would say. Who is he? He knew I was a vampire. He said this was his turf. He mentioned a Callahan. He said something about presenting to me to somebody named Callahan. Ever heard of him? She looks shocked for a split second, then recovers her regular countenance. Yes, I have. This hoodlum's an anarch then. Oh, it's a good thing we didn't tell him we were a Camarilla. Curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred last I checked. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Q tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make his unbound acquaintance. Gregory carries the stake vampire and dumps him into the car's trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in that poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff in your car and driving away, but then you remember that Sophie has been doing this far longer than you have. Oh yes, there is a lot we could probably learn from Sophie, which is why I want to stay on her good side, so I'm hoping that me saying her name wasn't considered like any kind of betrayal, because I do not want to be on her bad side. She is obviously someone important, powerful, and old. We need to learn from her. So I'm going to stay on her good side as much as possible, especially since she stuck her neck out for me, which means she sees a lot of potential in me. So for whatever reason, which with vampires it's never purely altruistic, I'm still gonna stick with her. Still, the nagging thought that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. I don't think that's going to happen because I'm pretty sure vampires cannot be seen by electronic recording devices. So I think it wouldn't have seen either any of you guys, except maybe the ghoul, which I'm pretty sure Gregory is a ghoul. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. So it probably was good that I didn't, like, be aggressive, because if we had gotten into a fight, that would have drawn attention. I think. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, rational. I'm always, like, whenever there's, like, choices to be made in games like this, I'm always trying to, like, I'm always second guessing myself. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice. I will pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at the Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Q and the Prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. Yeah, she kind of has to be to survive this long. There's a reason these vampires, like, get as old as they do. It is very easy to die a young fledgling. What's going to happen to him? Good riddance. The guy's an asshole. I do the same thing in his place. What? No. Guy's an asshole. Yeah, he is an asshole. I'm sure we'll see what's going to happen to him. But yeah, I can't imagine he's going to enjoy the meeting with Q. I hope he gives him a good grilling. The guy's an asshole. Oh, Q will enjoy it too, I'm sure. She pauses, seemingly lost in thought for a while. You haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I hope. It'll take some getting used to. I think so, yeah. Yeah, we did pretty good. I think I am, yeah. I'll cope. I'm glad. She doesn't question you further. She seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts adrift, and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment. Yeah, so I'm going to assume that whoever that C guy is a big deal. He's probably like 9s in Bloodlines, although probably not as likable. We will pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night. Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory, with the body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Yeah, I bet that happens way more. Even without vampires, I bet that happens quite a bit in real life. Did you cross paths with situations like this in the past unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? I think I read something that there was a statistics that says something like the average person will run across a serial killer at least once in their lifetime or something and not even know it. Something like that. I can't remember. I wish I could figure out where I heard that from. Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Although the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. Learn something about yourself today and it'll take time to process. Plus, you used your powers quite a bit. So you used them twice. You use celerity, so that's running really fast, which is common among Toreadors. And you use presence. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. Yeah, you need to stock that bookshelf with something a little more enjoyable. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door. A moment of hesitation, then a decision. This time you turn the light off. You think back to Julie. How many people in the city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park, he's not Camarilla. Then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? More questions. You begin wondering if there is ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. Close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms like an old friend. So now we can rest. This would probably be a good time to end the gameplay. We did our first feeding. I think we've already played for about an hour, which is bizarre to me. I feel like we've hardly played anything. But I'm going to go ahead, just in case, we'll go ahead and stop the video here. So I'll probably play another gameplay very, very short, very, very soon. I'm really interested to see what all happens. I really enjoyed this game. Hopefully you're enjoying watching it. I know, like I said, I do apologize since I tend to, sometimes slur and stumble over words. Again, I do apologize for that. But I hope you're enjoying it nonetheless. This game, I could sit here and probably play it for another 2 hours and enjoy myself. But I try to keep my recording sessions kind of under an hour if at all possible, just because it takes forever to edit and stuff like that. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having fun. If you are, hit the like button, feel free to subscribe, and I'll be playing more Coteries very, very soon. Bye!